Hello there. Welcome to Lightminded. My name is Leanne, and today is November 25th of 2025. It is a couple days before the Thanksgiving holiday, and I wanted to share with you an epiphany that I had a few days ago. And that epiphany is around the fact that we have so many stories. Actually, the epiphany, let me just start there. The epiphany that I had, the download from my creator, Mother Earth, the universe, what have you, whatever label you want to put on it, this intuitive thought that came to me was my entire life is a series of stories, right, that I have told that make up my life, right? And when I have a memory of a situation, that is a story that I have. Now, depending on the story, it's either going to bring me happiness or it could bring me fear or anxiety or anything like that. So the epiphany was literally, if I think back to today, right? Even yesterday, there's a story. So I'm on my walk several days ago, and I have this mind, to me, it was mind blowing because stories can really shape our lives and create patterns that we repeat over and over. And sometimes these patterns are only familiar, they're not healthy, okay? So the epiphany was, that my whole life is just a bunch of stacked up stories. And then I had this thought, or this feeling, this would be something great to speak about on the Lightminded channel. So this was several days ago, as I mentioned, and every day I was like, oh yeah, I should probably think about doing that video. Oh no, I've got this to do, I've got that to do. All the things, right, that pop up in life. And so this morning, I have a daily calendar, and this thought has been nagging me for probably 3 or 4 days, I would say. And I thought, it'd be great right around Thanksgiving because, I don't know one person that doesn't have like a story around Thanksgiving. It could be great. Some stories are great, some stories are not so great as far as our memories. So at any rate, today on my calendar, Tuesday, November 25th, 2025, you are not going to believe what today's calendar said. Your worst enemy isn't a person, situation, or thing. It's the story in your mind that's based on assumptions and projected fears or insecurities. I was like, okay, Spirit, I hear you. Today's the day. So here we are. So I wanted to just sort of explore this idea with you, which I think is fascinating. So when I have this epiphany of my life is stacked up by a bunch of stories, I realized that I even came to that realization because I've been working on my awareness of where I am in my body when I have a certain thought or if I have a certain memory. And I feel like awareness is literally the first step to pretty much anything that we want to accomplish, that we feel like we might be self-sabotaging ourselves around. And awareness can be great. feeling in the present moment, all of that is sort of the same thing to me. Whether or not we have an experience that brings us just complete and utter joy or awe. The story I love to tell myself when I'm on my walks is, I can feel the energy of the mountains. I know that the trees and the birds and all of nature, right, are there to support me in this life. I love that story. What that story does for me inside is it expands me. I have other stories, trust me, that can potentially create a contraction in my body, cause a stomach ache, cause me to make choices that, may not be in my best interest or the best interest of others. So I wanted to share this because we are coming into this Thanksgiving holiday, right? I wanted to share a story with you. And this was probably 6 years ago, okay? And so my mom and I, we travel, and maybe I had one of my adult kids with me, or maybe both. I can't remember. I do remember, however, though, we traveled to out of state to a family Thanksgiving. And it was very lovely. I knew it was going to be, just a beautiful spread and everything. And this one family member, okay, that I grew up with, okay? So there would be no doubt in my mind that this person would know who I was. Yet, this person comes up to me and says, "Hi, I'm so-and-so. What's your name?" And I just was like super floored, right? I was confused, but that confusion only lasted for a moment. But I could tell that this person was not in their right mind, meaning they were inebriated in probably a couple different ways. So I just calmly said, it's Leanne, and the devastation on that person's face when they realized that they didn't know who this person was, a person that they had spent years, days and years and so many experiences with. I felt some compassion. The other thing, so the reason I bring this up is that I could take that story and I could run with it, right? I could say, how could she? What, put a lot of judgment around the fact that this person was not sober, like me. I choose to be sober from anything and everything that can change how I think and feel from the neck up, right? That's my deal. Yeah, I could put a lot of judgment. I could put a lot of shame. I could then also put a lot of pomp and circumstance around me and look how great I am. But really, when I think back to that story, I think, wow, I am so glad that I'm sober. I'm not saying that nobody should have a drink, if you're not of the sober community. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a drink or whatever. I'm just saying my story, I look at it like I am so grateful that I am sober, that I know who everybody is when they come up to me. Whether I remember their name or not, I know your face. So anyway, that's just one example. There's other examples that affect the collective, like communities, the world. I just got my teeth cleaned this morning. I'll tell you what. Okay. This lady, she is amazing, right? And she started to tell me about this CE. I'm assuming it was her CE course that she went to keep her license going and everything to be a dental hygienist. But she was telling me that she was fascinated by this professor, this doctor that has done like 60,000 experiments and things like this. And he was very, very well versed in our microbiome and our, which is located in our stomach. And she said, she was floored. And I thought, okay, literally everybody has learned that we're supposed to brush our teeth after a meal. That's the story, right? You brush your teeth after a meal. Well, apparently, we're supposed to brush our teeth before a meal. And the science behind it, which you can Google all that stuff. I believe her. This guy apparently was super brilliant. He wrote a book and he's got a lot of science behind it. What happens is the food after we eat does something. It's like our enzymes go through this whole, our bodies are so incredibly brilliant, you guys. They are doing things to protect us and heal us that we have zero idea. So the thought is brush your teeth before a meal, not after a meal, because whatever's going on in your mouth has to trickle down into your microbiome and it coats it, it heals it, it does whatever it has to do to keep your gut healthy. Now, how many years have we been buying into that story? Like all my life, at least. And I've lived several decades. Let's just put it that way. So I think the reason I wanted to share this, obviously, because we are coming into the Thanksgiving holiday. There are probably so many stories going around our head about, oh God, here we go again. This person will be there, that person won't be there, so on and so forth. Or, I started thinking about this too. Sometimes the stories in our minds are so built up to have this amazing, wonderful, all these expectations, and then reality hits, right? So an awareness of just sort of checking in with ourselves. Where are our expectations? What is the story that is going on? And then my most favorite thing to do is if I have a story going on in my head, okay, which my default with this holiday, I'm just going to share a little bit about myself, is I could feel really sad that my kids aren't around. I'm not in a relationship right now, which makes me sad. I could really sort of spiral down into woe is me, what have I done? Look at the choices I've made. It's so expensive to travel. I should, on and on and on. I think you guys get the gist. So when that default story started in, I thought to myself, I just need to pause. How is this feeling inside? What is this story that I am telling myself doing to my body? Well, I started to feel anxious. I started to feel sad. I started to feel less than, all of those things. So I decided to do what I've learned recently, which is check in with my body. I was feeling contracted, so I just decided to close my eyes, put my hand on my heart, do some breathing. And how can I take that story that is making my body feel like it's in survival mode, right? So There's a lot of brain stuff going on right now, right? Like, what kind of hormones am I, like cortisol? Like, I don't know about you, but I know that cortisol goes right to my belly. And I don't want to add to any of that, right? So I say to myself, how can I look at this a different way? What kind of spin, what kind of perspective can I adopt and pivot? I know some people like that word, some people hate that word, but that's the word that's coming to me. So, how can I pivot from this story that brings me peace? And that was, I am so grateful to spend a quiet Thanksgiving with my mom. I mean, she's 80. She's either going to be 88 or she is 88. We've been saying she's 88 for so long, so whatever. She's getting there. She's getting up there, A quiet Thanksgiving with my mom. I can be so thankful for FaceTime because I can see my children, I can just go on and I can tell myself a different story. And I can pave the way for Thanksgiving to be peaceful, to be easy and joyful, and go for a walk and go to see a movie with my mom. I can tell whatever story I want that makes my body feel safe and secure. And not only that, but what I've also been learning is when these stories pop up in my mind, it's so important to just observe them and not judge them. Because the moment I'm judging it, like, oh, here you go again, on and on, right? That brings on shame. And shame will keep me in the story that keeps my body feeling like I gotta go. Like, what have I done? Pick up the phone, say this, say that, crawl in bed, feel sorry for myself. No, I don't want to do that. I have something cool set up for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which is the whole long Thanksgiving holiday. I can go on walks. I can commune with nature. And so I did want to share this because I feel like, first of all, Spirit has been nagging me to share this. Second of all, I always have this feeling like if I'm going through something, maybe there's somebody out there that can resonate with this and that it will be helpful for them. Helpful in a way to where they feel like they're not alone. Helpful in a way to change that mindset, because really life is just not only a whole stack of stories that we have, past, present, future. It's the ability to stop and pause, check on our mindset. Do we have an abundant mindset? Or am I really focusing on what I don't have, the lack mindset, right? And I feel like for me, at this time of my life, this time of what's going on in the world, I have got to look at the bright side. I really do. I feel like, how am I feeling right now? So anyway, I hope that this has touched somebody in a way that is helpful. And I care about each and every one of you, even if I don't know you. If you feel inclined, if you feel moved to like this video, to subscribe. I just want you to know that if you do that, even if you don't, I'm still grateful that you've made it this far in this video that I thought was going to be 10 minutes and it's 20 minutes. So anyway, I know that story went a little longer, but who knows? Maybe it went exactly as long as it was supposed to. I hope you have a light-minded day. I'm sending you lots and lots of love and good cheer for a beautiful holiday. Take care. See you next time.